Today's topic is how to become a Solidity developer. The agenda for today is quite simple. First, I will try to answer question why to learn Solidity in 2023. I will give you some good reasons why it's a good idea to actually start learning Solidity, starting experimenting with this programming language, because I think there's still a lot of nice things that you can encounter if you are a Solidity developer. Then I will jump on next topic, which is, I think, the most popular question that I'm getting in some direct messages and on some discords and so on. It's about roadmap. So exactly some steps, some knowledge that is necessary to become a Solidity developer. So I will cover this, and I will also give you a lot of links to the free resources. And this presentation will be sent to you afterwards with all the links. So you don't have to make screenshots, you don't have to make notes, because everything would be on your email after the talk. So you would have access to all of these links. In case you haven't registered to this event, then I will just place also the links to the description to this video. So it would be also possible to find this here on the YouTube, so you can bookmark this link. Then I will also cover some cool discords and newsletters that it's worth to check. I will mention also some tools that are quite useful if you are a developer, if you are building smart contracts. And also I will tell you a few things about my Solidity course, because I'm currently selling access to my online course about Solidity in pre-sale. So some part of the part of the content is already ready, but still I will be recording more and more content. So right now it's an option to join the course as an early adopter. Let's call it that way. And then of course I will answer all questions that you might have about becoming a Solidity developer. So yes, that would be the end of this presentation. I hope that we'll manage to do everything in 1 hour and maybe 15 minutes or so. So I will not waste more of time, and I will just jump straight to the agenda. So why learn Solidity? And I think many people are saying that maybe it's too early to learn Solidity. Some people are saying that it's already too late. So let's try to figure out who is right. About learning Solidity, I think a lot of people are just jumping into this topic because of salaries, because of high rates. And I think it's a good reasoning. Of course, some people are really passionate about Solidity, and our rates and salary is not that important to them. However, let's be honest that most of us are programming for money, and this is normal. So I will just start maybe with this topic. So I think it's worth to become a Solidity developer because the average hourly rate is quite high. So maybe if you are already a senior developer and you are doing Ruby or Python and you are working for foreign countries like US or Scandinavia or Switzerland, you already have such hour rate or even more. But you have to remember that Solidity market for developers is quite small. So it's not like you are not in the position of a senior Java developer where there are a lot of people on the market. And if there is any new job opening, you have to compete with a lot of people. So trust me, right now, if any company is opening the recruitment for Solidity developers, there's not that much people that are applying. And even if there are some people still applying, most of them are not very, let's put it, experienced. They don't have sometimes even basic knowledge of Solidity. And I had some recruitments in the past. I talked to some people and I was really surprised how skills of these people sometimes are. So don't be afraid of applying to the jobs, because really there are not that much people. And if you have some experience, some former experience from Web 2 world, it's still possible to get a really nice job, because as I said, there's not that much competition like in other programming languages. And there is also another maybe argument that it's too early to join to join this market of Solidity programmers, because there's not that much work, because not that many companies are really into Web3. And I think this is also not true, because just by looking to some of the job boards, you can see that there are plenty of offers that they are asking for Solidity developers. And there's often a situation that there is a combination that somebody has to know Node.js plus Solidity, or Go plus Solidity. So it's super great if you already have some skills, if you already have some knowledge in PHP, Node.js, .NET, whatever. If you combine it with Solidity knowledge, it's quite easy to get a nice job, where of course you are not 100% working with Solidity, but still you have some tasks to develop some smart contracts, make some POCs, make some integration between existing backend and Solidity smart contracts. So I don't think that it's too early to learn Solidity. And then another thing about Solidity, why I think that it's worth to learn it right now, is that if we look onto some on-chain data, here you can see the diagram from Dune Analytics. You can see the amount of contracts that were deployed in some months, and you also can see how much of US dollars were spent to actually deploy these smart contracts. And of course, 5 or 10% the top of these smart contracts will be successful. Most of them probably are scams these days, or these are just some shitty NFT projects. But even if a small percentage of these smart contracts will survive, this would mean that there would be still a need for people that understand this code, that they can integrate with these smart contracts, that they can maybe upgrade or make some newer version of it. And there are already plenty of companies, even big companies, that are investing in Solidity, investing in Web3 world, because they are just want to expand their services also to blockchain world. So I think just by looking on the statistics of how much smart contracts are deployed, how much NPM packages are downloaded that are connected to Ethereum world, there's, I think, a huge chance that many of these projects will grow, and many of this project will actually make some adoption of the smart contracts, because obviously these smart contracts are built for the users and to make some business out of it. So there's a lot of data, I think, that backs this thought. Then also many people are skeptical about Solidity and smart contracts, because they are constantly talking about exchange rate of Ether. So if Ether is high, or if Bitcoin is high, then people are so bullish about smart contracts, and they are saying like, oh, there would be a lot of jobs. But then if Ether goes down or Bitcoin goes down, then people are suddenly saying like, oh, this is very scary, that right now Web3 developers will lose their jobs, because there's no longer such a bullish market. So of course, maybe in some cases that's true, right? If somebody is building some NFT projects and there is a bear market at the moment, of course, probably there is a less work. But there are a lot of data that backs that says exactly that there are a lot of monthly active contributors into Ethereum ecosystem, and this can be smart contract developers, or just people that are building some tooling and stuff around smart contracts, like some analyzers, some nodes, some clients, CLI tools, and so on, that it's not correlated with the price of the crypto. And no matter if crypto is down or high, still there are a lot of builders, a lot of people that actually are struggling to build products that can be used by people, no matter what is the crypto price. We have to also remember that sometimes smart contracts are not connected really to money. They can do some other stuff, so they can be not actually influenced by crypto price. We also have a concept of stable coins that are tied to the exchange rate of US dollars or some other currencies. And then also the crypto price doesn't really matter. We also have some projects that are developed worldwide and in Europe that some countries are working on some tokens or some cryptocurrencies. So still, no matter what they will come up with, if that would be some centralized shit or not, there would be necessity to build some smart contracts there as well. So I think also the Solidity knowledge can be quite useful if some countries, governments will start investing into cryptocurrencies and try to build something in this world. So let's take a look quickly on chat. So there's some question about labor hours of studying. So, okay, guys, if you have some questions that are not related to what is currently on screen, I will just answer these questions later. So just ask on the chat and I will just go through all the questions at the end of this session. So going further, there is also another interesting topic that's why I think that Solidity become more and more popular, and this is actually a DeFi. So DeFi, it's a shortcut that stands for decentralized finances. And here you can see another chart from Dune Analytics. Dune Analytics is basically a tool that extracts data from smart contracts. And here you can see how many people are using DeFi products over time. And at the moment, there are about 6 million of people that are using DeFi products. And of course, probably your neighbor, your mom, your aunt, most of your friends never heard of DeFi and they never did anything with the DeFi. So we are very early with the adoption of DeFi. But even if the adoption of these financial products that are built on smart contracts will grow like 5 or 10% per year, you have to remember that the financial market is huge. And if we even think of some countries in Africa or in Asia that are not really banked at the moment, and some countries can start adopting these DeFi stuff, then again, DeFi is built around smart contracts. So there would be plenty of work with testing this stuff, auditing this stuff, programming new smart contracts, integrating with some existing smart contracts. So there is still, I think, a lot of opportunity to grow in such crucial thing, which is a decentralized finances. And here we can go to the next chart, which shows how long it took actually to grow this base of active users of DeFi. And of course, maybe these numbers are not so nice like with ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT probably have way more millions of users and way less days, but still we have to remember that this is DeFi. This is something that is actually damn hard, that if you would like to start investing or staking your coins, you have to go to centralized exchange. Then you have to take your coins and go with your wallet to some decentralized stuff. So this is a lot of overhead, but still, as you can see, a lot of people are using these tools every day. And I think that every month, every year, we would have more and more people that want to use these products, because I think especially young people are not really keen to work with traditional banking, because we all know what we can get out of traditional bank system, because they proved over time how successful they are in managing different things. So I think the DeFi ecosystem will grow and grow, because basically we have to fix how the current banking system is working. And you can maybe give some ideas how we can solve that problem, but I think DeFi is one of the best solutions to that. Let's also take a look on another thing about decentralized exchanges. Here you can see the volume of the transactions. And again, we have to remember that we are super early, right? We can imagine what these numbers can be in 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 years, right? If more people hear about this, if actually we see that this ecosystem works, that there are some projects like Uniswap that are completely decentralized and they are just working, right? There's not that much hacks, right? I think about Uniswap, there were some hacks, but not actually in Uniswap smart contracts, not in Uniswap protocol, but actually just with people that misused some configuration of the Uniswap, or just they were scammed in some other way. So we would see more and more safe products in DeFi, safe decentralized exchanges, and more people will learn how to use them, because they would have some advantage of that they can wire some money from USA to Africa, and they don't have to rely on Western Union or some other services that are super expensive and not that accessible in some parts of other countries in the world. Okay, so that was the first part that I would like to convince you why I think that becoming a Solidity developer makes sense. I didn't even cover all other job positions that might require some even basic knowledge of Solidity. Like if you are a front-end developer and you would like to make some user interfaces that are talking to the smart contracts, of course, you don't have to be expert in Solidity, but at least some basic knowledge of the Solidity is super helpful. So if you are building some user interfaces, it's super great to be familiar with Solidity. If somebody is really interested in becoming a security researcher or becoming an auditor of the smart contracts, of course you have to know some solid fundamentals of Solidity. If you want to audit smart contracts, you have to understand how to write contracts, what kind of mistakes can be done in the Solidity code, and you have to know how to use these tools, how to deploy smart contracts, how to find some glitches, some bugs in it. So then I think if you are a product owner or even some not really technical person, but still building a crypto or Web3 or DeFi products, I think it's still worth to at least know some basics of Solidity that you can easily check whether the contract is verified or not, what kind of methods it offers, how to read this code, how to send transaction, how to connect some smart contracts, how to check the prices of some specific methods or functions on the smart contracts. I think even if you are a non-technical person, at least knowing some fundamentals of the Solidity, it's quite useful. Okay, so enough of convincing why it's worth to become a Solidity developer. Let's jump into the second section of this webinar, of this presentation today, where I will cover roadmap and I will give you resources that I think that are worth to check. So let's look at this beautiful diagram that's actually is really simple. So I think there's no need, it's actually hard to start learning Solidity language if we don't know some basics of Ethereum, and basically how Ethereum blockchain is working, how the consensus algorithms are working, how transactions are mined, and actually what kind of problems the blockchain solves. So this is really important to know these basics before we jump into the Solidity language, because without these basics, I think it's hard to understand some concepts and hard actually to know why this Solidity, why the smart contracts are needed. But once you have these basics, of course, I will give you some detailed links and some resources that I think that are worth to check. Then it's time to learn Solidity language. And then you can start checking some popular ERCs, which are basically some kind of standards submitted to Ethereum Foundation that are recognized in many tools in the Ethereum ecosystem. So for example, the popular ERC at the moment is ERC 721, which stands for NFTs. That other popular ERC is ERC 20, which allows you to create own token. And there are a lot of ERCs that once you know Solidity language, it's worth to check these standards, because these standards are used in many tools. They are recognizable by wallets. They are recognizable for some tools around NFTs and around some DAOs and some systems in which you can make a voting for cryptocurrency users or some DeFi protocols. All these are relying on the ERCs. So that's why it's really important that once you understand the Solidity language, then you can jump into these popular ERCs and try to use them, try to understand their code, try to deploy them. Then the next step is developer tools. I will also cover this in the second. I will show you what kind of tools are necessary for learning all these, and they are worth to check. And then, of course, in the Solidity, in the smart contract world, it's really important to think of the security. So I will also mention that, and I will also give you a lot of interesting links that I think they are worth to check. Okay, so we have a first question that I think is quite related to what I'm talking at the moment. And the question is, do you think that learning front-end development is this necessary to get into the Solidity? No, I think it's not possible, not necessary to know anything about the front-end, but of course it depends on what kind of job you would like to do with the Solidity. So if you would like to purely focus on the Solidity, then of course, you don't need a front end, but I think it's way more easier to find a job if you can combine Solidity knowledge with, for example, backend knowledge. If you know how to build backend in no matter what language, it can be .NET, it can be Java, it can be Go, or whatever, then it's already way more easier to land a job. However, if you have some front-end skills, it's also easier. But if you just have Solidity knowledge and you are junior, you don't have any other skills than Solidity, I think it's still possible to find a job, to even work as a junior auditor. I heard stories like that people without any programming experience beforehand, they just learn Solidity and they land a job. But I think it's way more complicated. Another question from Hubert: what kind of database is good to know? If you never, I think knowing at least one database system is good, and I would highly recommend you Postgres. Postgres is, I think, industrial standard at the moment in most of the projects on production. It's used. So I will recommend you to check Postgres. But of course, again, it depends on what kind of job you would like to get and what kind of tasks you would like to do in your job. Okay, so let's jump into details, right? Because I just give you some overview what kind of things you have to learn. But now let's try to go into more details. So Ethereum basics. Here you have some texts and videos, and you don't have to make any screenshots at the moment. You don't have to write these links down, because I will send you after the presentation the whole links, the whole package of these links, so you would have them. But here I recommend you couple resources. So I would highly recommend you to start with Ethereum developers docs. I think they are very good. They are very detailed, and they have nice glossary and overview. Then here you have a blockchain terminology, which is, I think, also quite useful to know, because in blockchain, no matter if you have Ethereum or some other blockchain, you always have some some terminology like 51 percent attack, like consensus algorithm, like block, like miners, transaction, gas. All these things are important to understand, because then if you don't know the basic terminology and you just go into the Solidity docs, then it's not that simple, because you are reading a documentation, you are already confused with some new stuff, and then you also have tons of terminology that is also not known by you. So here I have some nice overviews. And I also have here a link to GitHub Ethereum book. It's a book that you can buy its physical version, or you can just download the PDF of this book. And I highly recommend you to check this book and not read it like, you know, like non-fiction book that from start to end. I just recommend you to get this book and coming back to it from time to time. If there is something you don't get, if there is something you don't understand, then you can get back to this book. But at least first 3 chapters, I think, are really important to read and understand before you jump into the next steps. If you are a type of person that likes to watch stuff and not really, let's say, read books or stuff like that, then there's a really nice, channel called Secureum, which has a lot of lessons, a lot of lectures that you can basically check. And again, I don't recommend you to watch all these lessons just by, you know, 6 hours straight. I just recommend you to maybe watch 1 or 2 video, make some notes, and whenever you have something that you don't understand, then try to Google, go to the Ethereum book, and just try to synthesize your knowledge, because here these lectures are really concise, but they have they have a lot of information in one lesson. So I don't recommend you to just try to absorb everything in one session, because it can be overwhelming. Then also there's here another video that I just recommend you to you, and this is again some lecture from Stanford professor about cryptography and consensus. And this is again something that is really good as a start, because you can understand all these building blocks of the blockchain. And I think it's really important to get these things first and then go to the Solidity, because then you are more understanding all these principles, all these bytes, all these components, how they are talking to each other. And I think that's quite important. I did this mistake that I learned many of Solidity before I actually understood some of the consensus and cryptography behind it. And I think it was just more painful to me. So I highly recommend you to get these fundamentals first. And again, it would be in these slides that I will send to you afterwards. Yes, there is nice recommendation from Radek to use ChatGPT. Of course, ChatGPT here can help. of course, if it's working, because sometimes when I want to ask ChatGPT for something, it's currently down. So if it's working, of course, it's worth to check it. But still, I think there are sometimes situations in which ChatGPT gives you a right answers, and sometimes it's just bullshit or just a very limited amount of information. And especially if you have some more specific questions around Solidity, I was not that happy with the results. However, if you have some concepts like gas transactions and maybe consensus algorithm and so, probably you can start with ChatGPT. But still, I think there's worth at least to check this stuff that is, for example, on Ethereum channel or on this lectures that I mentioned. Yes, and here Ria confirmed what I just said, that sometimes this code is bullshit. I was asking ChatGPT how to make effective whitelist for NFTs, and to be honest, this code was, yeah, if you know how to write Solidity already and you see these prompts from these results from ChatGPT, then maybe it can help you. But if you are a freshman and if you just learned about some basics, I think it would be really hard to just rely on the answers from ChatGPT. But of course, we have to remember that ChatGPT improves over time, right? So every week, every month, every version of ChatGPT would be way more better. So we have to observe the progress of the ChatGPT. So yeah, that would be about the Ethereum basics. So I highly recommend you to check these resources and try to play with Ethereum yourself. So before you jump into the programming, try to get some coins, put them to your wallet, go to some decentralized exchange and do some stuff on Uniswap, maybe purchase some NFT, you can purchase some access to some community, you can maybe buy some tokens that can let you get into the game. And it's always really interesting then to once you have this basic knowledge about Ethereum, to basically check how your wallet is interacting with some smart contracts. It's really interesting that try to understand what really happened, how the signature works, why sometimes signature costs money and sometimes I don't have to send any Ether, how this works and what kind of stuff you can do with it. So it's really interesting to start with such basics. So let's go next. So next would be the Solidity language, and this this is something that you can jump in once you have this basic knowledge about the blockchain. And of course, I'm not saying that you have to be a doctor or make a PhD in blockchain before you get into the Solidity language. Of course, it's not. But I'm just saying that it's at least to have some brief introduction into some concepts, because then it would be easier for you to learn something from Solidity. Yeah, so here you have a lot of nice GitHub repositories and some nice pages on which you can learn about Solidity. Here's, for instance, a great project that does some Solidity walkthrough that you can just see some elements of the code with some explanations what it does. Of course, this is really brief information, so you don't have here the full context. You don't see here exactly usage of this stuff. And for example, these stuff you can find in my online course, where I'm showing you some basics of the Solidity, but also I'm doing some coding and I'm showing you all kind of examples that you can use, how to connect this code, what you can make it out of it. So as you can see, there is tons of free resources, but again, it's takes time to go through this every repository, and sometimes going through these repositories, it's not in the proper order. So for example, in my online course, you have this stuff consolidated in one place and in right order, so you can save some time. But still, there's a lot of places that are worth to check. For example, here, another link that is quite useful is Solidity cheat sheet, that you can, for example, access some quick knowledge about some integers, some types of the variables. So this is a really great resource. Then once you have some basic understanding of Solidity syntax, I highly recommend you to go through the Solidity by example. Solidity by example is that you have here some concepts like function selectors, some sending ether, and then it's sometimes very good exercise to just go through these examples and understand them. And for example, if you don't understand what this function get balance does, or what does it mean that it's public view, or if you don't know how fallback function is working, so then it's a good indicator that you should have, you should make a step back and, for example, learn some stuff, right? So it's worth to check. And again, there is a really nice series of videos that are on the Ethereum YouTube channel, that you can watch some lectures about Solidity. This is really good resource. So that would be about the Solidity language. Let's go into next step, which is some popular ERCs. And the first, your go-to page is Open Zeppelin Docs. And Open Zeppelin Docs is some organization that, Open Zeppelin, that makes some standards of tokens, and they are putting them on their GitHub repositories. And for example, if you would like to deploy ERC20 or deploy ERC721 for NFTs, it's really good to always check what they have here, because they have here some ERCs for these most popular tokens, but they also have some concepts that are quite useful to check. So you have, for example, some access controls, some authorization smart contracts that you can import and use inside your code. So it's also really beneficial to go through these popular ERCs and understand them and read what kind of APIs they are offering. Another resource that is super cool to check is a cookbook. And cookbook, it's a page that offers a lot of smart contracts for existing projects. So for example, if you would like to find NFTs, and for instance, you want to find a soulbound NFT, which is an NFT that you cannot sell, or you cannot transfer to some other address that you, once you receive it. Soulbounds are used, for example, for representing some certificates or some badges, because if you have a certificate of driving license, of course, it doesn't make sense to sell your driving license to some other people, right? It's maybe normal in Russia, but not really convenient in the real world to sell some driving licenses or some certificates to other people. And Soulbound is actually some kind of NFT that allows you that. And for example, if you need a code for Soulbound, you can always go here to the cookbook and you can check some of these smart contracts, and again, try to use them, try to deploy them in the test network, try to change their implementation, try to understand, okay, maybe there's some require statements and I don't understand this require statement, so what it does, right? It's a good indicator that you have to learn something again. And here, of course, you have tons of stuff, tons of smart contracts, not only NFTs, but also some other interesting smart contracts that are worth to check, worth to experiment with. So I think these two resources are perfectly fine. Then there would be a developer tools that I think they are worth to check. First of all, there's a Hard Hat. Hard Hat is basically a project that lets you develop Ethereum smart contracts for production. So you have the concept of hard hat that you can prepare some deployment scripts, you can write automated tests, you can test everything locally, you can then deploy the same smart contracts to the mainnet. So this is a really nice tooling that I'm also covering in my course, and this is especially great for people that are familiar with the JavaScript, because this whole hard hat thing is just an npm package, and it works like regular npm package in JavaScript world. So if you are familiar with that, if you like TypeScript and so on, I think hard hat would be something that you would really like. And it also offers a lot of nice plugins and tools that you can do some validations, you can make some verification of your smart contract straight from command line. So this is a really nice tool. Then you can have the gas usage, that you can check the usage of your gas in your unit tests. So it's really convenient thing. Then there is also a project called Mithril, and Mithril is I hope I will get into this repository. So yeah, there's a project in Python that you can analyze your smart contracts, and this tool is really nice because inside the command line it can give you some overview of your smart contracts. If your smart contract has some potential issues that can be abused by hackers. So I will also show how to use the Mithril. Then it's also something like Mithril, but it's also analyzing your code and just giving you some insights of the issues, potential issues that you might have in your smart contract. So this is some kind of linter, but also it tries to detect some potentially dangerous situations in your smart contracts. Then it's also maybe not tool, but more service, which also I think it's worth to explore. And here is the Alchemy, which gives you a super fast access to JSON RPCs, but they also have really nice APIs to get information about NFTs, who holds NFTs, what kind of transactions were done with these NFTs. So I think it's also worth to open account in the Alchemy, because it will be, first of all, quite useful if you would like to test or do some stuff later with your smart contracts. And also they are providing you some faucet, some fake coins to the testnet, which is girly. So it's really nice tooling, even for the test nets. But of course, if you would like to deploy some smart contracts or interact with them later, Alchemy, it's really nice tooling because they have also some dashboards, so you can see how your backend is interacting with your smart contracts. So I think it's also worth to open this account once you are starting developing some stuff. And then we have a lot of links regarding security, which is also a really important thing, because obviously smart contracts are dealing with money. There's also some situations that if you write a code in the way you are writing it in PHP or Java or JavaScript, sometimes you can have problems. And the famous attack is reentrancy attack, that if you structure your code not in the proper or order, somebody can extract money or steal some coins from your smart contract. So it's really important to understand all these topics. And here there are also some nice articles that are summarizing some of the some of the popular vector attacks on the smart contracts. And again, it's really important to go through them and understand them. For example, some of them are not longer possible. For example, some arithmetic over and underflows. This most of the problems with that are solved in the newest version of Solidity, but still I think it's worth to know these security vector attacks just to understand how different the Solidity is from other programming languages, from other development environments. So it's worth to check it anyways. Then it's also there's also a nice repository that is called Auditor Book, and Auditor Book is basically open source project in which you can see some real audits that were done on the real projects. And I think it's really interesting if you would like to one day become an auditor, or if you would like just to be a developer that writes really safe code, just to go through these audits and understand what kind of issues were found here. Because yeah, it's always better to learn on the errors of other people. So here you have more than 150 audits, and I think it's worth to check them. What else I have on my list that is really interesting? Here is also some article about token interaction checklist. It's also quite interesting to check because, for example, ERC20, which is very, very popular standard, it even has some glitches inside of it. And I think it's, again, worth to check how ERC20, which is a very popular standard, sometimes can have problems, for example, with allowance, and just try to go through this article and understand how these problems are affecting Alchemy. Not Alchemy, but security, sorry. I read on the chat what Mateusz wrote about Alchemy that opened some kind of bootcamp. Yeah, probably it's worth to check because I'm really big of Alchemy, what they are doing, and yeah, there's worth to join their Discord and their knowledge base. So yeah, and there's also another repository on the GitHub that still have some list of materials that are worth to check. And again, I'm not saying that you have to literally read every information that is here, but it's just good to bookmark such lists and from time to time go to this repository and just check it, what kind of tooling, what kind of articles are here. Some of these articles, as I said, are outdated, but still contract upgrade anti-patterns are still something that it's worth to understand. Even if you don't make these mistakes, it's still good to know why these are the mistakes, just to understand how smart contracts are working. So that would be about the security. If you have any questions, feel free to use chat. I will try to answer all questions. And now we are going into next section, which is a Discord and newsletters that are worth to check. Because obviously all this knowledge that I showed you is quite great, right? But still you have to remember that sometimes you can have some problem at the moment, and it's really important to get to some other people that are also learning or just have some kind of motivation from other people to see like, somebody did a really interesting repository, maybe I will check it out, or somebody is posted some resources, or somebody is posted something what they learned. So it's really, really nice to actually participate in some Discords. So I will give you some clues of which Discords are worth to join. And then also in Solidity, in Web3 world, in Ethereum world, a lot of things are happening. Sometimes there are some new inventions, sometimes there are new kind of attacks, sometimes there are new projects that are changing or improving something. So it's really worth also to join some newsletters because then you have every week or every every 1 month you are receiving an email that is really well structured and contains all important information, and you don't have to come to every possible Discord or read every information on the Twitter. So it's really, really nice to also have this information. And here I can suggest you 3 newsletters. One is week in Ethereum news. So there you have some general news about Ethereum, about some changes, about some new developments in the Ethereum world. Then you have a nice newsletter about all the hacks that happened in the Web3 world. So whenever there is some new vulnerability or some breach attack or whatever, then you would get a newsletter. And it's again always worth to check this newsletter and just understand what happened, how you can prevent such mistakes in your code. And the last newsletter is about really advanced stuff in security, or more into EVM, so how Ethereum virtual machine is working. So if you are interested in this stuff, it's also a really, really nice newsletter. About the Discords, I highly recommend you to join Web3 Army, which is Discord founded by me. There is also a special section for members of my course. So there would be a private space for all the people that are attending the course, but also there are open channels on which there are some questions from beginners, from people that are trying some things. I will be also doing some code review from people from the Discord. So there's one project submitted currently, but if you have any interesting thing that you are working on and you would like to collaborate and talk about the code, just submit it there. Then there is some new initiative which is called Web3 Security DAO. I think this community looks really well, and there are really nice resources and nice people from auditing world there. And I think that developer role and auditing role are quite kind of the same, right? Because I cannot imagine being a good auditor without good understanding of Solidity and how the smart contract thing are working. So I think it's really important to have the knowledge from programming side and from security side. Then there is of course Web3 Devs Poland Discord. If somebody is from Poland, I highly recommend you to join this Discord, but probably you are already there. And there's also Developer DAO, which is great community. The only downside of it is that you have to own the NFT in order to join this Discord, to join this community. I don't know what's the price exactly of the NFT at the moment, but probably it's possible to get this access somewhere on the OpenSea. So this would be about the newsletters and Discords. If you have some nice community that you are part of, let me know. Of course, there's, I forget to mention here, BFC, BFC Board Founders Club. It's another great community, great Discord. It's also token gated, and you can get access to BFC on the OpenSea. But yeah, on the Discord, there are tons of people that are working in the Web3 space that are actually understanding the whole Web3 vibe. So I think it's also worth to join this community. And yeah, that would be all about the Discords, newsletters, and all the stuff, all the resources that I think are worth to check. And now it's also another resource. There's a Solidity Dev Starter course that I made. Currently, it's on the pre-sale, so you can just join it. And there is a special price until the end of this week. Then I will close the joining to the course, and I will work on finalizing the course, because at the moment you already have access to some of the materials, but the next package of materials, I want to have some feedback from real students. So I want to understand what kind of problems they have, and the part of the agenda would be influenced by the members of the course already. But here you can check the agenda. So there would be for sure the stuff that you can see here. So there would be a lot of stuff for newcomers, for beginners. If you never did anything with Solidity, there would be some intro lessons in which I will show you how to set up a development environment, and I will explain some layouts of the Solidity using constructor functions and so on. But there would be also a bit more advanced stuff. So how to verify signatures, how to use some useful ERCs and EAPs. I will cover some security issues and tell you how to avoid them. There would be also something about upgradable contracts and some gas optimizations. There would be also live streams only for people from course, on which I would be reading and analyzing security audits. So I think it's really worth to join. Here you can also check some FAQ. There is some money back guarantees. So if you would be not satisfied with the course, I will just refund you with no hard feelings. So I think it's worth to check. I will maybe quickly show you how this course currently looks inside the platform, because I already have here the platform, which is currently deployed. Let's just I will just log in on the other screen because I didn't prepare it before the hand. Quite fast. Okay, so it was, yeah, just let me move it here. So here is the platform, and here you can see some lessons that are already ready. So you can see that you have some really short, concise lessons. Then you have some Solidity basics, and then you have more advanced stuff that I would add these packages in upcoming days, in upcoming weeks. There would be, of course, some explanation how to use NFTs, how to deploy NFTs, how to write automatic tests with hard hat, which is, I think, super useful if you have some smart contracts and you would like to test them before you actually deploy them to any network. So I would show you some techniques how to do it. We will also set up some automatic tooling for detecting some potential issues like this mithril thing, some linters, some extensions in the VS Code that are super useful to have. And then also we will do some projects, because I think just learning some stuff is not enough, and it's really important to do some projects. I proposed here some project of ERC20 staking, some NFT contract with cheap, efficient whitelist, and contract that lets you swap NFTs. And of course, I will maybe add some more projects, but this would be discussed with people that will join me and would like to learn Solidity with me. Then we'll come up with some ideas for some other projects, and there would be here. And of course, every live session, some kind of office hours for the students, will be also recorded and always available on the platform. So if we do some reading of some security audits and some analyzing of them, everything would be here in this package. So if it's something that interests you, you can check this on a Web3 Army page. I will maybe show it on the screen, so you just have it. Yeah, so you can just check it here, and it can be Web3 Army F. We'll show you the link, so you just can see it on the screen. And let's maybe go back to my presentation. And there's also, if you would like to make some example projects, if you would like to practice a Solidity, I think it's worth to start with some with some basic stuff like receive, return Ether through your smart contract. Then also it's worth to make some ERC20 staking application. So you can, for instance, stake some stuff into smart contract and make interest out of it. Then it's also worth to check how to make NFT contract and how to, for example, enable minting for Ether, that somebody has to pay the Ether, and how to do whitelist efficiently, because I think this is also important to understand how to issue signatures, how to verify them on the smart contract level. Then it's also important to understand how to make upgradable contracts, because this is often something that clients actually are asking for. So these are the projects that I will cover in my course. But of course, if you don't want to join it, you can just check these free resources that I showed you in the previous slides, and you have to, I think, make all these applications, all these projects, just put it on your GitHub, and then you can start finding looking for some new job position. Now it's time for some questions. So if you have some questions, I would be very happy to answer them. I will take a look through the chat. There was one question. So how many labor hours of studying till prophecy? Knowing enough to be hired as a junior. So yeah, I think it's really depends of your current knowledge, because I think that still there is a possibility to actually find a job as a junior, even if you are not very experienced with Solidity. So I think it can be 100 or maximum 250 hours that you can prepare some smart contracts, put on your GitHub, and then I think it's still possible to find a job if you have, for instance, some React understanding or some backend understanding. Then you can just start applying for the jobs, and I think it should be successful. But it's again, I think it's really important to focus also on mastering some theoretical stuff about how blockchain is working and what kind of problems it solves, because I think often the interviews for Solidity developers are starting with just basic stuff about how Ethereum is working and how some problems can be solved in this world. And I think many people, at least that was my impression when I was running interviews for some people that my friends wanted to find some Solidity developer to their startup. They asked me to run interviews for them, and I spotted on these interviews that many of candidates, they actually didn't know really basic things about how Ethereum is working. So if you nail the part of glossary and full understanding of consensus algorithms, transactions, gas, what kind of problems blockchain solves, some patterns from Solidity, then I think it should be quite easy to land a first junior job. There is a question once. There's one question in Polish about, everything's fine, but I don't understand why I should learn and what for I should learn Solidity. So I think it's not necessary to learn Solidity, right? But you can check what kind of projects are currently built. There are decentralized exchanges. There are DeFi protocols that let you, for example, use something like flash loans. Flash loan is actually a very interesting thing because it's something that doesn't exist in the traditional banking system, but it exists on the DeFi systems. And if you want to program stuff like that, if you would like to work with companies that are building services on top of Ethereum, then you have to know Solidity, and I think that's quite straightforward answer. Of course, if DeFi, if Web3, if decentralization, if smart contracts are not making any sense to you, I think it's just not worth to spend time and working on something that doesn't make sense for you, right? So I'm not saying that this is for everybody, but if you like this kind of products, this kind of freedom that smart contracts and permissionless world gives you, then I think it's good to try. Then we have another question: roadmap to become dApp developer. Yeah, so this is interesting one. I'm not covering in this course development of decentralized applications from front-end side. Maybe this would be another course that I will work on someday, because I don't like to, as a learner and as a teacher, I don't like courses that are touching a lot of stuff in the same moment. And in this course that I'm doing, I would like to focus only on Solidity and give you some solid knowledge of Solidity, so you understand how to prepare smart contracts, how to interact with them, how to test them, validate them, and so on. However, if you would like to become a decentralized application developer, which is a shortcut for dApp, I think you should first decide whether you want to be someone who builds front end for these applications, or backends, or maybe full stack, right? So if you are familiar with front end, then you have to understand first of all how to connect wallet to your application. So what kind of APIs you can use in order to detect whether there's some cryptocurrency wallet in the browser. Then I think it's really important to understand how you can start talking from your front end to some existing smart contracts. So what is an ABI? How to load this ABI? How to issue some transactions? What is a signer? What is a provider? How to detect if transaction was actually mined or it's still waiting for confirmation. So everything that is on the front end side, you have to know basically how to do it on the front end. So I highly recommend you to use some decentralized applications like Uniswap, for instance, and then basically try to recreate them on the front end side, or at least ask your some questions. Okay, how I can make this connect wallet, how I can store the session, how I can fetch some transactions that some wallet did. So that would be, I think, the way. And if you decide that you would like to focus on the backend, then I think it's worth just to understand again how to interact with smart contracts, how to read to them, how to load private key and maybe issue some transactions on the blockchain, how listen to events that are emitted from the smart contracts. So this would be the key, I think, features that you have to take care of if you are building dApp. But then there's also a question: can you explain dApp in a very simple way? So dApp is a shortcut for decentralized application, and decentralized application is an application that relies on the tools. That relies on the services that are decentralized. So, for example, decentralized app might be application that lets you send some coins or issue some NFT without touching some centralized services like AWS or some Linux server somewhere. So you are just relying on some decentralized protocols, decentralized applications. And it's possible that you can even prepare application, the front-end application, in a very traditional way using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, using smart contract as a backend. So instead of communicating with some regular backend that is deployed somewhere on AWS or somewhere on the Linux machine, you can communicate with the blockchain network, and your whole structure of your application can be deployed to decentralized storage, which might be Arweave or IPFS. So then it's really interesting concept of application that really lives in decentralized networks. So not only the backend or sort to say endpoints are on the smart contracts, but also your static files are not deployed to regular server machines, but to some kind of network, which might be IPFS or Arweave. So that would be some long explanation how I see dApps. Not sure if that was in simple way, but I hope some of you got what I mean. Then we have another question. Are there tools for simulating gas costs of that contract in mass, Monte Carlo style? And I heard about Solidity, only alternative to Hard Hat. I forget its name. Okay, so of course there are tools that allows you to simulate gas costs in mass. So you can have some plugins in Hard Hat, and you can have some tool that, for example, you can write a test that mints 1,000 NFTs, and you can estimate the gas costs of it. You can estimate how much it will cost to deploy the smart contract. So there are a lot of tooling that allows to do this stuff. There's also some alternative to Hard Hat, of course. I'm not sure which alternative you mean here, but there's another very popular project which is called Foundry. And Foundry, I will show you, it's in the second. So it's Foundry. Yeah, so there's something like Foundry. So it's a toolkit for Ethereum application, and it's written in Rust, and it's works very similar to some batch scripting. So if you are familiar with batch, then I think Foundry would be something that would be for you convenient to use. If you are even using Rust or you understand Rust programming, this would be even easier for you to understand. I mentioned Hard Hat because I did some questionnaire for people that were applying for my online course, and most of them were familiar with JavaScript, and I still think that Hard Hat is the most popular tooling for developers. So that's why I'm mostly focusing on Hard Hat, but still you have alternatives like Truffle, like Foundry, and many more. And I believe you can do all these all these simulating gas costs things also in Hard Hat and Foundry and some other tooling like Truffle and many more. So there are still a lot of possibilities. Another question. So dApp can only be used for any kind of transaction. Yeah, so with dApp, I think you have to remember that there are many types of dApps, right? And there can be a very simple dApp that mints a new NFT from the smart contract, and that's it. There can be another dApp that lets you convert one coin to another. There can be some dApp that, for example, lets you vote on something using your cryptocurrency wallet. There can be some dApps that are guarding access to some content with your wallet. And if you have some certain coin in your wallet, then you can access some information. So there are a lot of concepts of dApps, and I think it's very broad term, and yeah, probably we can say that it's for any kind of transaction that can happen on the blockchain. Then we have, does ChatGPT lower the value of Solidity developers? So I think for now, I haven't heard anything of lowering values of developers, because you have to remember that at the moment, ChatGPT gives you an answer, right? That, for example, you are asking some question and then you are getting the code back. But let's imagine a situation that somebody is do not know anything about Solidity, do not know anything about how to deploy some smart contract, how to interact with the blockchain. And let's say that this person would sit in front of ChatGPT and start asking some questions. For me, at the moment, it's hard to imagine a situation that somebody is able to sit in front of ChatGPT, ask questions, and after some time, just have a ready smart contract that is deployed and ready to be used by some customers. I think we are not yet there with ChatGPT. And of course, maybe one day it would be that great that it will give you the answers that could be ready to use even by people that have nothing to do with the programming. But then it would be, I think, the matter of not only lowering value of Solidity developers, but actually lowering value of all developers on the whole planet. So I think we are still a bit far from there, but let's see. There would be a ChatGPT v4, and let's see what will come up out of it. So coming back to the next questions. Okay, thank you. No problem. If you have any question, feel free to ask. And then there is there any tool like Hardcut, but more familiar for Python coder? Yes, I think there should be something like that. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not really familiar with Python, so maybe let's check on some Ethereum GitHub. There was some repository with some Ethereum resources, and let's maybe try here Python. To be honest, there should be something like that, but I never. Yeah, sorry guys, but maybe here you should check, because I only used Truffle, Hardhat, and I heard a lot of nice things about Foundry, but no clue how it is for Python developers. So I'm pretty sure you can find something. Well, here's even Ethereum Python community Discord. So I highly recommend you to check this link. I've typed it into the chat. So you can find it there. But yeah, I have no experience with Python, so I will not tell you something from let's say a real use case for me. Yeah, Ria, I think it's good idea to make maybe another session like that, but more about clear roadmap for DApp developer. But yeah, I will try to prepare something like that, and I think it's also valid question, especially that such roadmap should be fine for front-end developers and back-end developers, because I think in these two worlds, there are some slight differences about how to develop some applications in terms of UI and backend, and I will try to actually explain that in more details. So, guys, if there are any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll finish this session. I hope that you learned something new today. Feel free to join Discord channel that I mentioned today. It's Web3 Army Discord. All these links would be today or some hours later on the description of this video, so you would have access to all this stuff. You can find me on the Web3 Army Discord always. So if you have some question or if you would like to ask some more stuff, I'm there. Also, remember about special deal for the Solidity Dev Starter course. This deal ends at the end of this week, and then it would be closed. And after some time, I will open appliance to the course, but it would be with the higher price. So it's still worth to join by the end of this week. I will share maybe the Discord on the channel. Good actually recommendation. So feel free, guys, to join it anytime. And I see there's no other questions on the chat. So thank you, guys, for your attendance. Thank you for nice questions today. It was really nice to meet and see you all on the chat today, and see you on the next sessions on this channel. So take care and happy Solidity coding.